All right. So, software testing project we have started in our previous session. So, as part of that, so we have done a few tasks, like we have seen how the project works and what is the functionality. And also we have explored the functionality of the application by reading FRS document and as well as the application. And then we have seen how to prepare a test plan document, and also have shown you how to write test scenarios of the application. Okay. So today we are going to see how we can write the test cases based upon the scenarios, how we can write the test cases, and how we can conduct the reviews. And also I will show you how we can prepare RTM, that means requirement traceability matrix. Okay, so this is a agenda for today's session. So let me just open the Excel file, so which is already created. Let me just go through some of the test cases. And again, this is a very huge task. Okay, so we cannot complete writing out test cases within 1 hour or 2 hours. Even if you're working on real-time project, at least it will take 2 to 3 weeks of time to complete all the test cases. Depends upon the complexity of your application. So here you need to focus mainly on requirements, understanding the requirements, and parallelly you write all the scenarios and write all the test cases. And every time when you complete some set of test cases, you have to conduct reviews yourself and review with the team and review with the developers, managers, everybody. So this is a continuous process until unless you get the sign off on your test cases. You have to do these activities continuously. Okay, so this is again a huge task. So let me just open my test cases document, and basically we have to start with the template. Okay, you will be provided one small template, and the template will be changed one company to another companies, but whatever fields we are updating almost exactly the same. So wherever you see some test case template, you can see like test case ID or test case steps and expected result, actual results, priority, and these fields are commonly there everywhere. Okay, but slightly the differences will be there, but that's still fine. So let me just show you how the test case template will be, and how we can write the test cases for identified scenarios. So once you identified the test scenarios, then we will proceed with the writing the test cases. Okay, and again, while writing the test cases, we will refer test scenarios, and at the same time we will refer FRS document. Okay, so we already explored the some application, right? So application is also ready. We have explored some functionality. So we should also consider the functionality from the application. Okay. So now let us start writing the test cases, and let me show you how the test cases looks like. Yes. Okay, so this is a test case template, guys. The first sheet, we have version history. So whenever you see some document or template, the first sheet or the first page, you have to include version history. Okay, so what is version history means? In version history, you will put a small table like this, and you will specify your project name and other who is prepared this document, and you will specify the version numbers. What is exactly version number means? For example, today you have updated this document and I have given version called 101. Okay, and then you have reviewed this document with the team and they have given some feedback and some updates, and then you have included those changes in the document and you make it as a version number 2. Similarly, whenever you updated your document or whenever you modified your document, you have to give some version number, so that this version number tells how many times you have updated this document. Okay, and you need to consider the last version of this document as a final document. So until unless your test cases or any document is freezed or signed off, you keep on updating the version numbers every time whenever you do changes, not a small changes. Once you conduct a meeting with the team and whatever feedback they have given, and include those feedback updates in your document and change the version number. So the version number says like what exactly you have done. So you need to also write some comments in the here. So in this version, what are the changes you have done? In this version, what are the changes you have done? You can specify some description also. This will be there for every document, even for test plan document, test cases, test scenarios. Every document you have to follow this version history, because every document is required some kind of reviews. Every document always you modify something, so this is commonly there. So version history should be there in the first page. Okay, and then in the second page we already created test scenarios in our excel sheet yesterday, so the same test scenarios we can place in the second sheet. So this is a test scenarios document. So same scenarios whatever we identified, so the same scenarios, same sheet, no change at all, the same sheet we copied here exactly the same way. So 31 scenarios I have written and identified from the application based on FRS document, and then I put it here, and along with the priority and number of test cases estimated. Okay, rough estimation, not exactly the same number of test cases. So of roughly, while reviewing the document or reviewing the application, while understanding the requirement, I just estimated 27 test cases for register functionality, or 23 test cases for login functionality, 11 test cases for logout functionality, like this rough estimation. And while writing the test cases, maybe this number will be increased or this number will be reduced. Okay, so this is a test scenarios sheet. And now for every scenario, what is a test scenario? Test scenario is nothing but a area to be tested, what to test. And that particular scenario can be tested in multiple ways. Like we can write multiple test cases for one test scenario. So we can write multiple test cases for one test scenario. For that, what you can do is we have to create multiple sheets for every scenario. If you have 20 scenarios, you create 20 different sheets in your Excel file like this. See this? This is my register sheet. And here I will write all the test cases which are related to register scenario. And login sheet, here I will write all the test cases for login scenario. And logout sheet, here I will put all the test cases which are belongs to logout scenario. Similarly, for each scenario you will specify, so you can just look at here, the scenario id is also there. And you don't need to write the description of the scenario, just write the some name of the scenario. Let's say register functionality, so I just simply say register. And similarly, you can say login functionality, you can say login. Logout functionality, then just say logout, forgot password, search, product compare, product display page, add to cart, wish list, shopping cart, home page, checkout, my account info. Lot of things are there, change password, address book, order history. So for every scenario you will create a new sheet in your excel file. Okay, so here almost 31 scenarios I have created. So for all 31 scenarios I have created 31 sheets in my excel file. Okay, so these are the scenarios. And for every scenario, let's say this is a register. For this scenario I have created some of the test cases here. Similarly, for every scenario you have to create a separate sheet. Inside that sheet you have to write your test cases. Okay, so now let us see how we can write the test cases and how template look like. Suppose if I just look at here test scenarios, I'm just considering one or two scenarios because it takes a lot of time, guys, and rest of them I just leave it to you. You guys should do your work and you should complete the rest of the task. I'll provide the documents, no issues at all, but from your side you have to do some work on this. Okay, take your own time and compare this. So I'll take each and every scenario and create a new sheet and write all the test cases for that scenario. Okay, so just for understanding purpose, I'm just taking one or two scenarios and then I'll show you how I have created my test cases for those scenarios, and the rest of them you guys can continue with that. Okay. So let us take the first scenario, that is validate the working of register account functionality. So this is a P0 priority. So I expected 27 test cases, right? So let us see what are those test cases for this functionality. And meanwhile, if required, you can also keep the application ready if it is available, or else we can purely depend on the FRS document. Okay. So let me just open my application and let us see what are the tests we can conduct on the register functionality. And while testing, we are not going to use this URL, guys. So this is a demo application. They have given a few functionalities. Okay. But while testing the application, we are going to deploy, or we are going to install the application, and then we are going to conduct the testing in our local machine. So this is a just a demo purpose they have given, and we are not going to use this URL for testing purpose. Okay. So I'll show you how to deploy and install the application in your local system, because we need to set up a test environment, and then we have to deploy the application, then we have to execute all the test cases on that application, not on the demo application. Okay, so this is our application, and if you want to go to the register page, just go to my account, and here click on register. So once you do that, then we got the registration account. So this is the page we are going to test. So this is one scenario. For that, we have to write multiple test cases. Now let us see what are the test cases I have written for this register account functionality. So this is a TS, test scenario 001 register functionality. Remember this. Now go to register tab. So here the first sheet I created to write all test cases for registration functionality. Now let us go through each and every test case, and you see how I have written the test cases. Similar way, you guys also identify the scenarios and identify all the test cases and write all the test cases in the Excel sheet. Okay, fine. So now this is a test case template, guys. So first column will be test case ID. Test scenario also we have to specify for which scenario we're writing the test case, and test case title. Every test case is having some title or some description, small, just one line description, and the prerequisite. So if you want to execute this test case, what is the prerequisite we need to have, and test steps or actions, we can call as actions also. So how to test this application, how to execute the test case, so we need to write step by step action. So we have to execute these steps one by one. While executing the steps, we expect something, right? And here we have to specify under expected result, we have to specify what exactly we are expecting from this application. When we perform these steps, what is our expectation? So that we have to specify under expected result column. And sometimes your test case also requires some data, and in that case you can specify the test data in this particular column. And then at the end you will have some columns like actual results, priority, results, and comments. So for now you can just keep these columns empty, because once you are started execution, you will update these columns like actual result. After executing this test case, what is the actual result in the application, and the result passed or failed, and then comments also we can write. And priority is nothing but a test case priority. Okay, so in which order we have to execute these test cases will be given the priority here. That is also we can update later at the time of execution. And rest of the columns we can write now based on the scenarios. Okay, now this is a template, guys. So this is a template, test case template. Now let us go to one by one test case. So totally how many test cases I have mentioned here? 27 test cases I have mentioned for register functionality, right? So let us see how the 27 have covered or not. If I just go to register, if I just look at here, exactly 27 test cases I have written. And it depends upon your mindset, guys. Some people may write more number of test cases, and some people may written less number of test cases. So there is no guarantee like everybody will write the same number of test cases and same cases, same test case. It will be changed one person to another person. But ultimate goal of writing test cases is you have to cover each and every functionality in your application. So that's the main important thing which we need to focus on. Okay, so that's the reason we should not compare the test cases what you have written with what the others are written, because in the real time in your project, whatever features are assigned to you, you are the responsible for writing the scenarios, test case, everything for that particular feature. So nobody will involve in that again, and everybody in the team will get a different kind of features, so they will take care of their own features. So you no need to compare your test case with anybody else, but you have to take the feedback from others, and accordingly you have to modify your test cases. Okay, so if I give some feature to you and some feature to some X or B or A or B, some other person, and both the people may not write the test cases in the similar way, but the ultimate goal is you should able to cover the test scenario. You should able to cover all the functions in your application. Okay, So some people will write only 10 test cases, but the coverage will be good. And some people may write 30 test cases, but coverage will not be good. So it depends upon the skill set of the tester, how well they have written the test cases. Okay. So here almost 27 test cases I have written. Now let's go through each and every test case. All the test cases are related to register functionality. Okay. Now let us start one by one. So here, this is my test case ID. So every time you have a unique ID of the test case, because if in future, if you want to refer certain test case, we have to refer this ID. So TC underscore RF is representing registration functionality 001. So you can just give some ID like this. And this is a scenario ID for which scenario we're writing the test case, and the title of the test case title. So what is the title here is validate registering an account by providing only mandatory fields. So if I just look at this application, okay, there are some mandatory fields are there and not mandatory fields also there. If I just look at here under newsletter, and this is not a mandatory field, and sometimes you will also find non-mandatory fields. Okay, so first let us test this scenario with the mandatory field. Enter only mandatory field like first name, last name, email, telephone, and so on. Let me increase the font. Yeah. So here you can just enter only mandatory field and test account is registering or not. So for that, what are the steps you have to specify? What is the prerequisite is we have to open the application in the browser. So this is a URL which we have to open in our application. And once you open this URL, this is a prerequisite. And then what are the steps we have to follow? First, we need to click on the My Account drop down, and then click on Register option. Then enter new account details into mandatory fields, only mandatory fields. That is first name, last name, email, telephone, password confirmation, and privacy policy fields. So these are the only fields which we have to enter. If I just look at the application also, so these are the options which are available. Okay, so privacy means this is a checkbox. So we have to enter only mandatory fields in this particular form, and don't see the application, guys. So while seeing the application, we don't write the test cases. While seeing the FRS document, we will write the test cases. Okay, but this is just mock screen. Just we can refer this as a mock screen. Don't think like how this application is works. In the same way, we should not write the test cases. Our test cases always project our functional requirements, not your application, because application may have some bugs. Even in the register form, there are some bugs, so we will find them later. Okay, but actually this is the way we need to write the test case. So we have to provide only mandatory fields, and then click on continue button. So if I just look at here, there is a continue button also there, and click on continue button that is displayed in the account success page. Okay, this is our expectation actually. So this is the flow. So once you've done this fourth and fifth step, what we are expecting, expected result 1, expected result 2 I have given. So what exactly they are is here. If I just look at expected result, this is expected result 1, this is a expected result 2. And when you do this action, click on continue button, and the first step, this is our expectation. As soon as I click on the continue button, user should log in, taken to account success page, and proper details should be displayed on the particular page. So this is our expectation. And when you do the second action, click on continue button that is displayed in the account success page. So here already account success page is displayed in the first step, and after that fifth step will be performed. This is the action. Click on continue button that is displayed in the account success page. And then what is the behavior here? User, what is expected? User should be taken to account page and confirm email should be sent to the register email address. Okay, so as soon as you created an account, once you click on the first button, continue button, then it will take you to the account success page. There also you can find one continue button. Again, once you click on the continue button here, then you will get the email to your register email. So your account is successfully created like this. Some confirmation message you will get to your email address. So this is your first test case. Okay, so register the account by specifying only mandatory fields. Now the second test case, validate thank you for registering email is sent to the register email address as a confirmation for registering the account. So here in the first test case, also we have what we have verifying here is in the second step, users should take into account page and a confirm email should be sent to the register email address. It is just a message is displayed. But here we have to verify exactly email is coming or not. In the second test case, let us see. Validate, thank you for registering email. This is actual message, okay? Email is sent to the register email address as a confirmation for registering account. Sometimes what happens is when you provide the details, once you click on the continue, you will get the confirmation message on the UI itself. Your account is successfully registered. But sometimes you may not get an email confirmation. You don't know exactly whether account is successfully created or not. But we cannot confirm by seeing only the confirmation message. So if you get the email properly, that is actual confirmation. So in the second test case, we are exactly verifying the email. So here, what is the prerequisite? We have to open the application. Again, we have to repeat all the steps and make sure every test case is independent. Okay, don't think like well, we already covered these steps in the first test case. Why should we do again the same steps? Don't think like this because this is a test case standard. Every test case should be independent. Suppose tomorrow, if you assign the test case to somebody else, they don't know about the previous test cases what you have done. They just look at only your test case and you have to he has to find each and every step from the beginning. Okay, so make sure every test case is independent. There is no dependence on the previous test cases. So now again we have to start from the beginning. So click on the my account drop down menu, click on the register option and enter the new account details into mandatory fields. Click on the continue button, check the email address used for registering the account and click on the login page link from the email body. So you can just look at here, there are multiple verifications are there, almost 3 verifications are there. After continue button, check the email address used for registering the account. So at the time of registering the account, you will provide the email address here. So for that, what we have to check in the fifth step is, so here ER123 expected result 123. So once you provided email address, here we have to verify first 3. So validate the confirmation email for registering the account is sent to the register email address. Validate the email subject, body, and from address of the received email. So this is the validation of the email, confirmation email. And validate there is a link to the login page provided in the email body. So once you get the email, confirmation email, the login link also will be provided there. That these are the 3 expectations once you done the 5th step. And what is the 6th step? Click on the login page from your email. So whatever email you got with confirmation message, that email should contain the login link. So when you click on that login link, expected 4, so 4th step should execute. User should be taken to the login page of your application. User should be taken to the login page of application. This is a functionality. Okay, so this is the second test case. Now the third test case is validate registering an account by providing all the fields, including mandatory and not mandatory fields. And again, same prerequisite and again, same steps, but here we are going to provide mandatory and non-mandatory fields also. And what is expected here is when you perform the 4th step, click on the continue button. The first expectation is user should be logged in, taken to account success page and proper details should be displayed on the page. And after performing the 5th action, click on continue button that is displayed in the account success page. Then second step should be expected. User should be taken to the account page. So here we are providing all the details like mandatory and non-mandatory fields also. So that is one test case. Now register functional test case 4. Save it. Okay, test case 4. Validate proper notification messages are displayed for the mandatory fields when you don't provide any fields in the register account page and submit. Negative testing. So here we are covering the negative test case. So What it is saying, validate the proper notification messages are displayed for the mandatory fields when you don't provide any fields in the register account page. Means what? Here there is a mandatory field and I don't provide a specific mandatory field, and the rest of the things I will provide like this and try to submit, continue. Then you are properly getting notifications or not. See this? I'm getting some notifications here, right? So that is a validation actually. So validate proper notification messages are displayed for the mandatory fields when you don't provide any fields in the register account page and submit. So how we can test this? Open the URL as a prerequisite, and these are the steps we have to write. Click on my account drop down menu, register option. So where exactly these options will be there? Here guys. So you can just go to my account, you can say register. Okay, this is the option I'm talking about. So click on my account drop down menu, click on register button option, and don't enter anything into fields. So we should not enter anything into fields, and then continue button. Then we'll see what exactly happening, whether it is giving the messages or not, warning messages or not. And there is no test data, and there is lot of validations. See this, these are the validations which you have to do. Don't enter anything in the fields, just click on the submit button. If I just look at here, so nothing is there, immediately I'm just saying continue. So when I say continue, see this, these are the warning messages. These are the warning messages we have to validate. These messages are correctly displaying or not. So this is the actual validation. So first step, the below warning messages should be displayed for the respective fields. Every field is having a different message. If I just look at here, every field is having a different message. So each and every field we have to validate the message. And for the first name field, the warning message should be this one. First name must be between 1 to 32 characters should be displayed. And for the last name, this is the expectation. For email field, this is the warning message should display. For the password field, another message. For privacy policy field, there is another message. So for every field, whatever fields we have in this, for every field, we have to validate this error message. So this is a one test case. Now, fifth test case. Validate registering an account when yes option is selected for newsletter field. Validate registering an account when yes option is selected for newsletter field. Let's just look at here. There is an option called newsletter, and we can select yes or no. Provide all the data and then select yes, then see whether it is creating account or not. Similarly, provide all the data, select no option and continue. Just see whether it is creating account or not. So this is a newsletter. So I have created few test cases here. So validate registering an account when yes option is selected for newsletter field. Now we have to open the application and the steps. So click on my account drop down and click on register option. Enter new account details into all the fields. Click on yes button or yes radio option from newsletter. Click on continue button. Click on continue button that is displayed in the account success page, and click on subscribe or unsubscribe to newsletter option. See this guys. So this is something, another requirement. If I just look at here, we have found something else here. Seventh steps. Till sixth step we already done in the previous test cases. Now the seventh step is newly added. So what exactly it is we are creating the new account here. Okay. And when you perform the continue here, fifth step and sixth step, we are expecting first and second steps here. Fine. And what is the next one is seventh is additional one. So click on subscribe and unsubscribe. Once you taken to the account page, you will find something called subscribe or unsubscribe to newsletter option. Okay. So you have to click on that option and then check yes option is should be displayed as selected by default in the newsletter page. So what exactly this test case referring to is, while creating this account, if you select this subscribe yes, after creation of the account, if you go and see the account details, there you will see the one option called subscribe and unsubscribe. And if you click on this option, then you will see the yes option. At the time of creating the account, if you select this yes option, and after creation of account in the account profile page, you can see the yes option. Or if I created this account without this subscribe or by selecting the no option, once you successfully log in, once you go to account page, you will see the no option here. Instead of yes, you will see the no option. So that is the difference. So we'll see practically while executing the test cases. Okay. So this is a one test case. Newsletter, yes or no. And then this is a test case number 5. And then test case number 6 is a no. Same, the same test case. This time we are selecting the no. Validate registering an account when no option is selected for the newsletter field. And we have to open the same application and the same navigation, same kind of steps, but the expectation is different. Here we are going to select the no radio button, and the expectation should be no option should be displayed as selected by the default in the newsletter page. Once you created your account, once you see your account details, there you will see the no option for newsletter selected. Okay, these are the two test cases I have written for yes and no options. For both options are covered. That is test case 6. Then come to test case 7, register functionality, and validate different ways of navigating to register account page. So to get the register account page, there are multiple navigations we can do. So here we just do only from my account register option we are selecting. Apart from that, we also have multiple options. So the first option, so validate different ways of navigating to register account page. And we just open the application URL, and what are the steps you have to follow here is my account register option, and then my account drop down menu login option, and then we can continue. So these are the 5, 6, 7 steps we can do. So multiple options are provided here. Let me show you what are those options. So what is the first thing they are saying? Click on my account drop down menu and then click on the register option. So let's go here, click on my account drop down menu, register option. So this will give you register account page. This is one flow. And what is other? Click on my account drop down menu, click on the login option. Now you can just look at here, click on the my account, and here click on the login button, login. So once you click on the login also, here you can see new customer. So by clicking on the continue here also, you can get the same register account page. So this is one navigation. Okay, so this is one. Till here it is one. Sorry, till here it is one. 1, 2 steps is one navigation. 3, 4, 5. So these three are another navigation. Now sixth step, repeat 3 and 4. Click on draw my account page and click on login option, and then click on the register option from the right column option. And if I just look at here, you also find some link here. You can see here. So go to account, 3 navigations, right? One is directly my account register. This is the direct option. You will get the register account page. That's the first navigation. Second navigation is go to my account, click on the login, and here click on the continue. That is the second option. And the third option is click on the my account, click on the login, and also you can see the options here. Click on the register here. Here you can see that register. So this will also give you the same form. So 3 different navigations are there. So all 3 navigations we have to test whether we are getting register page or not. So this is a test case, guys. Okay. And user should be taken to the register account page in all 3 navigations. And that is one test. And then test case 8. The next test case is 008. All right. So test case number 8. So now validate registering an account by entering different passwords into password and password confirm fields. See the test case, guys. So here we have to validate the registering an account by providing different passwords in password field and confirm password field. Normally we will provide the same password, right? In the password field, confirm password should be the same. But here we are doing negative testing. We are providing password is different, confirm password different. So what is your expectation? registration should not be successful, right? If I just look at the page again, so here there are two fields, password, password confirm. So we have to test this by providing different data. Now what is our expectation? So here open the application, now see the test case and click on my account drop menu and click on register option, enter new account details into all the fields, but enter any password, say 12345 into password field, enter any different password, say ABCDE into password confirm field. You can give anything, nothing. Okay, you can give any value, but both should be different. Password should be different, confirm password should be different, and then click on the continue button. So what is our expected is? Expected here is account should not be created. Instead, a warning message, password confirmation does not match password, should be displayed under password confirmation field. So this is we have to validate by providing different password. Confirm password, actual password will be different. This is one test case. And test case number 9. Validate registering an account by providing the existing account details. Suppose you already created one account earlier, and if you provide the same details, you should not allow you to create. This is also negative test case. Now let us see how we can test this. So this is a prerequisite. Open the application and then let's see the steps here. Click on my account drop menu and click on register option. Enter existing account details into all the fields. Okay, for that we need to have some data. So previously we should already created one account, so we need to consider those details and try to provide the same details again second time. So enter existing account details into all the fields like first name, last name, email, everything should be existing, and then continue button. So this test case required some test data. What is the data is required? The account details we need. So we already created one account earlier, so that account details we have to use. So here I mentioned the existing account details. If you don't have these details, you have to manually create a new account and use those details for creating another account. So test data is required. So I provided some test data here. And then what is an expected here? Account should not be created again. Instead, the warning message should be displayed. So this is a warning message. Email address is already registered. So this is a warning message we should get. Okay, so this is one more test case. Now test case 10. So what is this test case is? Validate registering an account by providing an invalid email address into email field. So normally email have some format, right? So here we are providing some invalid formats, different invalid formats, and we'll see how we can provide the email address. So again, open the application. Okay, and these are the steps. Okay, so all these expectations will be part of your requirement, guys. Okay, so your requirement document, sometimes you may have FRS document, requirement document, sometimes you may have use cases, and sometimes you may have some design documents also you have to refer. So you have to consider all the documents, guys. Wherever that details are you are finding, you can include all the details in your test cases. And we should not rely only on one document, because one document may not provide you all the details. But suppose if there is any details are missing in the document, you have to consult the corresponding person whoever is created the document. You have to consult to them and ask them to include those details also in the document. Okay, so if there any requirement is, if any requirement is missing in the document, you have to consult to the appropriate person and again do review and ask them to include those requirement also, which is very very important. Okay, all the expected results, everything will be part of your reference documents. You have to read them and you have to consider them. Okay, okay, so here we are validating the registering account with existing account. Okay, that is already done. So that's the next test case, 10th test case. So validate registering an account by providing an invalid email address into email field. So here, if I just look at here, I have created some invalid emails. You just see here, These are the invalid emails. So this just I'm providing username. That is not proper email. And I just added at the rate. This is also invalid email, right? And this is also invalid email. This is also valid or invalid. So this is also invalid email. But you have to create your account before itself. And that email address is a valid. Other than that, rest of all email addresses are invalid addresses. So these are the invalid addresses. And while creating the account, use these email addresses multiple times. Okay. And you have to execute this test case multiple times with the different sets of data. And in all the cases, your account should not be created because you are providing the invalid email addresses. And what is our expectation? Account should not be created. Instead, a proper field level warning message or page level warning message to provide valid email address should be displayed. Okay. So this is a actual message should be displayed while executing the test case. This is the test case number 10. Now the test case number 11. So test case 11. So in this test case, what exactly we are testing is validate registering an account by providing invalid phone number. So in the previous test case, we have validated by providing invalid email address. And this time we are validating while providing invalid phone number. So when I provide invalid phone number, also it should not accept, right? So now let us see the steps. So steps are same guys, but the validations are changing. If I just look at here. So go to my account, click on the register option, enter new account details into all the fields, enter invalid phone number into test phone field. So here refer the test data. So here I provided some test data, you have to refer it. Then click on continue button. So what is your expectation now? Provide invalid phone number like alphabets also you can provide. Then what is the expected message? Account should not be created. Instead, a proper warning message should be displayed. So this is a validation of the phone number field. And the next test case 12. Validate registering an account by using the keyboard keys. Validate registering an account by using the keyboard keys. Guys, this is a kind of usability testing. So sometimes, if I just look at here, see this, if you want to enter the first name, I will enter something like this, right? After entering the first name, if you want to enter the last name, what I will do, I will place my mouse cursor on last name, then I'll enter some other value. Then I'll place my mouse cursor on the next field, then I'll enter some value. So this is a normal way everybody will do. But we also test this same thing with the keyboard keys. For example, let us say I'm entering something called ABC. Okay, and after that I want to enter the last name. I don't want to use my mouse, I want to enter the last name. Then what you should we do is we just use tab key in your keyboard. When I press tab key, see this, it is navigating between multiple fields. See this, it is navigating between the multiple fields. See here, when I press tab key, it is navigating between multiple fields in your application. So this is a kind of navigations we have to test. So as soon as you enter the first name field, when I click on the tab key, then it is enter into the last name and then provide one more value. Then again click on the tab key, then enter one more value. Then click on the tab key, then enter one more value. So you have to test these navigations also working fine. See this, yes or no, and then privacy policy, and then continue. Just enter. See this. So this is how we need to test this registration form by using tab and enter keys. This is a kind of usability. Okay, so now let us read the test case. So validate registering an account by using keyboard keys, and prerequisite, open the application, and then here click on my account drop down menu, register option, enter new account details into all the fields by using keyboard keys like tab, spacebar, and enter, and then click on continue button, and then you should be logged in and taken to the account success page, and proper details should be displayed on the page. This is a successful login. So this is just for verifying keyboard keys are working fine or not. This is the 12th test case. Now the 13th test case. Validate all the fields in the register account page have a proper placeholders. Proper placeholders. What is a placeholder? I'll show you. So here the navigation is click on my account drop down menu, click on the register option, view the first name, last name, email, telephone, password, confirm password fields for placeholders. And expected result is proper placeholder text should be displayed in these fields. What is the placeholder? Placeholder means this one, guys. Let me show you. So when you're refreshing the page, see this in the first name field in the text box, there is a name displaying here, first name. See this? What is the use of it? The user will know, right? The application is user friendly. So by seeing the text box, the user will know, okay, I should enter the first name. And by seeing the text box, user will know the last name. By seeing the email box, the user will know exactly I should provide email address here. So in the text boxes also, there is a text displaying by default. You can see here. So these are called placeholders. These are called placeholders. Sometimes you don't see anything here. Sometimes it's an empty text box, but here there are predefined values are displaying here. So these are called placeholders. So we have to verify these placeholders are displaying for every field or not. So that is all about this test case. Okay. Test case number 13, placeholders. Now, test case number 14. Okay, so test case number 14. So let me just highlight the color, the completed test cases. Okay. So now till 13 test cases we have finished. Now let us move on to the further test cases. So test case number 14. Validate all the mandatory fields in the register account page are marked with the red color star symbol. So what kind of test it is? What kind of test it is? Can anyone tell this? What kind of test it is? UI test case. In the UI testing, what you will verify? The user interface of the application, alignment, colors, spellings, everything, right? So here, validate all the mandatory fields in the register account page should be marked with the star symbol. And what are the steps? After opening the application, click on my account drop down menu, click on the register option, check the fields like first name, last name, email, telephone, password, password confirmation, and privacy policy. So these fields should have star mark. Okay, and what is unexpected? All the fields in the test steps should mark it with the red color star symbol. So what are the fields we mentioned here? Should mention with the star symbol. If I just go here, see this first name, last name, email. For every field, there is a star mark is there. But some fields, there is no star mark. That is a bug actually. But as per the requirement, you have to follow. So this is a one test case. Check all the mandatory fields are having star marks. That is one test case, 14 test case. And the next test case, 15th, validate the details that are provided, validate the details that are provided while registering an account are stored in the database. This is a database testing, guys. Okay, we also have database for this application. So what you have to do is, as soon as you created this account, once you click on the continue and register, these details we have to verify in the database table. In the backend database table, these details will be stored, and we have to log in into the database. We have to execute one query on the table. Okay, suppose let us say we have table called register table, and we have to execute one query, select a star from register, then we will see the registered data in that table inside the database. Okay, so that is a kind of database. So sometimes what happens is, when you provide the data here, when you click on the continue, you will get the confirmation message here, your account is successfully registered. But when you see the database table, you will not find any details there. Sometimes your application may not be communicated properly with the database, or there is a connection issue between your application and database. So your application is displaying the proper message, but the same data is not available in the database. That is again bug that we can consider as a defect. So we have to test that area also. So for that, we have created one more test case. So validate the details that are provided while registering an account are stored in the database or not. So this is your application URL, and what are the steps you have to follow here is go to my account drop down menu and register option, enter new account details into all the fields, click on continue button. And what exactly we're expecting here is all the details entered while registering the account are successfully stored in the database. So we have to log into the database and we verify that. Okay, so we will, I'll show you this how we can verify at the time of execution. Okay, we also install the database for this application, but here for this demo application we cannot access the database. So there is a different database internally they are there they have, but we cannot access the data. But once we have deployed this application in our local machine, we also have full-fledged control on our database, so we can log into the database and we can also perform a database testing. Okay, so that I will show you at the time of execution. Okay, then the next test case is 15th. Validate the details that are provided while registering an account are stored in the database. So this we have done. So let me just highlight. Sorry. One second. Okay. So I think this is sorry. Okay. So let me just highlight this. Now let's go to the next test case. Test case number 6, 16th. Validate whether the mandatory fields in the register account page are accepting only spaces. See this, guys. So validate whether the mandatory fields in the register account page are accepting only spaces. So what does that mean? Sometimes if you want to enter the first name, I can give some space like this, A, B, C, some XYZ. There is just some space. Sometimes it may not accept the spaces. So similarly, we have to verify all the mandatory fields are accepting the values along with some spaces. Okay, and telephone should not accept the spaces like this. We cannot give the phone number like this. Okay, so please you have to make sure that. So let us see the steps. Click on my account drop down menu and click on register option. Enter spaces into mandatory fields like first name, last name, email, telephone, password, and password confirm, and click on continue button. Then warning messages should be displayed for these mandatory fields. This is FRS requirement, so we should not consider our application should work according to functional requirement. So here when you provide some spaces in the mandatory fields, warning message should be displayed for the mandatory fields. So what we are expecting here is we are basically expecting register account page or accepting only spaces should accept. Other than this, it should not accept anything else. So warning messages should be displayed for the mandatory fields. And then next test case, if there is any issues with the test case, we can still modify at the time of execution. Fine. So 17th test case, validate whether the password fields in the register account page are following password complexity standard. Okay, so whenever you see password keys, especially not only this application, it can be any application, there are certain standards they will follow while designing the password fields. Okay, because most of the time you guys may observe this, whenever you entering the password, you have to that password should satisfy certain standards, like password should contains at least one number, or password contains should at least one special character, or at the rate hash, something like that, and password should also have some uppercase characters like this. These are all called password complexity standards. Okay, and these things also part of your requirement. And here basically what we are testing is validate whether the password field in the register account page are following password complexity standards or not. So here we have to test this. Okay, enter account, my account drop down menu, register account, register option, enter new account details into the field. So first name, last name, everything we will enter, but check entering simple passwords, not following password complexity. Like let's say ABC 123 something like that. They are simple passwords. They are not following any standards. Okay, that is not following password complete standing. That is size of the password 8. Password should contain at least one number. These are standards actually. So symbol, lowercase characters, uppercase characters. Check all the different passwords. So it should contains alphabets. It should contains lowercase letter, uppercase characters, numbers, special characters. Okay, so prepare some kind of data like this and test this with different type of data. So whether it is following the standards or not, so that we have to verify. And warning message should be displayed for the following password complexity standards. So whenever it is sometimes it may follow or may not follow, we don't know exactly. Once your application testing started, then we will know whether it's following or not. But actually what is our expectation is it should follow certain password standards, complexity standards. And this is again related to security testing. So this is another test case 17th. All right, so now the 18th test case. Validate whether the fields in the register account are according to the client requirement. Height, width, and number of characters. This is again UI testing. Validate whether the fields in the register account page are according to client requirements. Every field is having height, width, and number of characters. Suppose if I just look at here, first name is having certain height and width, and also it is accepting some number of characters. How many characters is accepting? So this we have to validate for every field. And again, this is also requirement comes from the UI document. There is a user spec document, user interface document, and mock screens. And below the mock screens itself, they will give you requirement for every field. Okay, so in the FRS document itself, if below the every screenshot, they will give you the how much field length, height, and what kind of data it should accept. So these kind of requirements you can find in the FRS document itself. So they will clearly mention all the properties of this fields which are present in your application. So that we have to verify. So here, go to my account drop down menu, register option, check all the fields. Means what? First name, first name, last name, email, telephone number, password, confirm password, newsletter, privacy fields, including the continue button. Even continue button also have height, width, and text and everything. So we have to verify that. So text field should abide to the client requirements. Test field should abide to the client requirements. Means how the client requirement is have same way our fields should satisfy the length, width, data, and everything. And this is also we have to test according to your requirement. And then next test case, 19th test case. Validate whether the leading and trailing spaces entered into the register account fields are trimmed. Validate whether the leading and trailing spaces entered into the register account fields are trimmed. What exactly means? Suppose in your application, here when I entering the first name, I'm just giving some space like this, then entering some name, and then again I have spaces like this. So when I submitting this form, the data, how it is going to store in the database, it should automatically remove the spaces at the right and the left side, because spaces also considered as a character. So it should automatically remove the spaces and actual value will be stored in the database. So that is a test case here. Leading and trailing spaces means what? Before and after the spaces should be trimmed, and then actual values will be stored in the database. And that is all about this test case. For every field we have to validate. So the leading and trailing spaces entered into these fields should be automatically get trimmed on successful account creation. Then 20th test case. Validate whether the privacy policy checkbox option is not selected by default. If I just look at here, by default it is not selected, right? So that we have to verify. So validate whether the privacy policy checkbox option is not selected by default, and open the application is a prerequisite. Click on My Account drop down menu and click on Register option. View the privacy policy checkbox option. And what is the expectation? Privacy policy checkbox option is not selected by default. This is our expectation. That is for one test case. And then 21, validate registering the account without selecting privacy policy checkbox option. So if I don't select this, I think account should not be created, because this is a kind of agreement before creating the register account. So I just look at here, validate registering the account without selecting the privacy policy checkbox option. So again, same steps, but what is an expectation is warning message should be displayed. Like warning, you must agree to the privacy policy should be displayed. Until unless we agree the agreement, we cannot proceed further. So this is a expectation message should be displayed. So this is a another functionality. Then one more test case. 22, validate the password text, enter into the password and password confirm field of register account functionality is toggle to hide its visibility. Toggle to hide its visibility, what does that mean? So whenever you enter the passwords in password field, it should not be visible, right? It should say star mark, something like this. So this is again standard, guys. So whenever you see the password, see this, when entering the when entering the first name, I'm able to see all the characters, but when I entering the password, you should not see any characters. So this is called as toggled hide functionality. Okay, that you have to verify. So this is also a kind of security testing. So validate the password text, enter into the password and confirm password fields of register account functionality is toggle to hide its visibility. And the same steps, go to my account, click on the register option, enter some password text into password and password confirm fields. Then what is expected here is password text, enter into the password and password confirm fields need to be toggled to hide its visibility. It should be hidden by displaying star or dot symbols. Sometimes you may see stars also, sometimes you may see dot symbols. Anything is fine. Basically, it should hide the characters. Okay, so this is one more test case. The next one, 23. Validate navigating to other pages using the options or links provided on the register account page. So validate navigating to other pages using the options or links provided on the register account page. Okay, if I just look at here, see the steps, go to my account, click on the register option, try clicking on login page link, privacy policy link, right column options, menu options, header and footer options, and any other options. What does it mean? Here basically we are testing the entire page, complete page of register account. So for example, this is my register account page. Here, not only these fields, we already verified these fields. Now we need to focus on other things like headers options, links. Here you can see right side they have different links are provided. So we need to click on each and every link and you have to test. Suppose when I click on the login link here, we need to test whether it is navigating to login screen or not. Then we have to click on my account link. Then you have to verify whether it is going to my account page or not. And similarly, click on order history. Then check whether it is going to order history page or not. So that's we have to verify. And also headers, all the menus we have to verify. Then also we have to verify all the footer options, all the links, whatever is present here. When you click on any link here, which is navigating to proper page or not. So we have to verify all these things. So this is again user interface testing. Okay, so that is all about this test case. So validate navigating to other pages using the options or links provided on the register account page. So this is one test. Now 24th. So validate registering an account by filling password field and not filling password confirm field. So both should be mandatorily filled. But here, this is a negative test case. Again, we are entering the password field, but we are not entering the confirm password field. So in that case, what should happen? It should throw a warning message. So warning message is password confirmation does not match password. Should be displayed under password confirm field. This is also one test. So again, this is again depends on the tester skill set. You have to think each and every corner. You have to identify each and every test in that particular application. Then you will able to write the test cases. So 25, test case 25. Here, validate the breadcrumb. I'll tell you what is breadcrumb. This is a technical term. Validate the breadcrumb, page heading, page URL, page title of register account page. And for that, what you have to do, we have to just open the application, click on the My Account dropdown, click on the register option. And what is expected? Proper breadcrumb, page heading, page URL, and page title should be displayed. So what exactly it is, we need to understand. So what is breadcrumb means? If I just look at the UI, so currently I'm just opening my home page. Let us say, okay, so I'm just clicking on the logo. So now I'm in the home page link. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll just go to register. So now observe this, what happens. See this, this is the one. In the home page, I go to account, then I go to register. So this says navigation. This is called as a breadcrumb. So breadcrumb is nothing but this is a menu navigation. Suppose from here, I'll go to something called, let us say, uh, newsletter. Click on the newsletters. So I think it is navigated to some incorrect page. So once you successfully log in, then these options will work. Suppose let me just click on tablets. See this? Under home page, I click on the tablets. Then when I click on something called software, now on the home page, I click on the software. And suppose under my account, I click on the login. So under account, click on the log. So this is called breadcrumb. So this should display for each and every page that we have to verify. Okay, so here valid breadcrumb and page heading. Whenever you navigating the pages, the page heading should properly display. So when I click on the register, then the page title should be properly displayed. Similarly, when I click on the login, and the page title should be displayed. So you can just look in here. This is actually login screen. So returning customer, new customer should be displayed. Similarly, when you go to any other page, it should display proper title. So when I click on the desktops, I think when I click on the software, you can see this is the title of the page. So whenever you navigating between the pages, the title should be exactly matched from the register page. Okay. And this is one test case. And URL page title we have seen. URL means this is a URL that we have to verify. Okay. This is the one test case. And 26, the validate the UI of the register account page. UI. So UI means what? We have to go to register and we have to verify this UI. Is there any spelling mistakes or not? Alignment is correct or not? Okay, this is a basically UI part. Spelling mistakes, alignment, colors, size of the elements. So we have to randomly, we can test this. If there is any requirement for this, you can also go as per the requirement, or else you can randomly test this. So here proper good UI should be displayed on the register account page. So everything should be readable. Everything should be clearly understand, and alignment should be properly aligned. You can see all the text boxes properly aligned, right? But labels are not properly aligned. If I just look at here, email is a little bit go deeper and it should come exactly in this alignment, even password also. And we have to verify. So all the text boxes are same size or not. Sometimes some text boxes are smaller, some text boxes are larger. So we have to make sure that also properly aligned or not. So that is all about UI testing. So this is one test case. And the last test case, validate register account functionality in all the supported environments. All the supported environments means what? Multiple browsers. On Chrome browser, are we getting the same kind of UI? All the fields are displaying or not? And Edge browser also we have to test. And Firefox browser also we have to test. Okay, so that is all about this. So validate register account functionality in all supported environments. In the test plan document, we mentioned what are the supported environment. So accordingly, we have to execute the test cases in supported environments. So register functionality means almost all the test cases we have to test in multiple environments, multiple supported environments with respective browsers and also operating systems also. Sometimes your software will be installed on Linux machine, you are able to access the application from that, so you should able to access everything in your application. So that is called platform support or supported environments. Okay, so these are all different test cases which we have written for register functionality, guys. So it takes a lot of time. And similarly, for every scenario, whatever we have listed here, almost 31 scenarios are there. For every scenario, we have to create separate sheets like this, and we have to write the test cases for that scenario. If I just look at here, I have just gone through only registration functionality, 27 test cases. Similarly, we also have a login test cases. These are all login test cases, almost 23 test cases. Similarly, for logout test cases, for logout 11 test cases, forgot password test cases, search, product compare, product display page. So for every scenario, we have to create a different sheets and we have to write the test cases for that particular scenario. So each scenario is having multiple test cases. Okay, so this is a example I have given. So based upon this, you guys should continue the rest of the things. So I have shown you what are the scenarios to be tested, and I have shown you how to write the test cases for that particular scenario. And similarly, you guys create rest of the sheets for every scenario and try to write the test cases yourself. You guys should understand the functionality, you guys should write all the test cases and parallelly compare your test cases with my test cases. I will share this document, and whatever test cases you have written, check with my test cases whether you have covered everything or not. So I already created test cases for almost every functionality. So you guys can go to the document, and before that, you have to write your own test cases. Okay, that's your assignment, that's your practice. Fine. So now, okay, so while writing the test cases, always keep in mind all types of test cases. Like UI point of view, what kind of test cases I can write, or database point of view, what are the test cases I can write, or functionality by functionality side, what are the different test cases I can write, and valid test cases, invalid test cases. So if you keep in your mind all types of testings, you will able to write more number of test cases. Okay, so once you start creating the test cases, then you will be confident, so you will get some kind of experience on that. Okay, so similarly, based on the scenarios, I just created register test cases, and you guys can continue with the rest of the test cases. And once it is done, so this takes a lot of time, and you will have multiple reviews also. As soon as you completed test cases for one scenario, you guys can review with the team. So first you will do peer review in the sense you yourself review the test cases by seeing the FRS document, and then you will review your test cases with your team or colleagues, and then you review your test cases with your dev and QA team along with the product manager, and then finally you have to get the approval from them, and they will sign off. Okay, that is the actual process. So here, writing the test scenarios and writing the test cases, and at the time of writing the test cases itself, once you test case have done, we have to prepare something called RTM, traceability matrix. Because you have created test cases, how we will know whether you covered the all the scenarios or not? So you have to prepare something called traceability matrix. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to prepare a traceability matrix. And these things should do parallelly, guys. As soon as you return the test cases, parallelly you have to update the traceability matrix also. So let me show you how the traceability matrix looks like. Okay, so this is a RTM, guys. I have just created sample document. So here you can see all the details: project name, client, reference document, created by, creation date, and approval date. And as I said, what is the RTM, requirement traceability matrix? RTA means what? It's a mapping of requirements, scenarios, and test cases. So, what are the requirements we have? What are the scenarios we created for that requirement? And how many test cases I have written for that requirement? So, this is a mapping. If I just look at here, normally in FRS document, you will find some requirement ID. So, for every requirement, they will give some number. You can find that in FRS document itself. So that requirement ID we will specify normally here. I have just given some sample ID here, but there will be some requirement ID like 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, something like this. And you can specify the requirement ID. Okay. And let's say, suppose, let's say 1.1 is my requirement ID. And here I'll say 1.2 is my requirement ID. So for that requirement, what is the scenarios we created? Sometimes one requirement, you can have multiple scenarios, or one requirement, you can have one scenario. And scenarios description, if you want, you can write it, or else this is optional. Then what are the test cases you have written for this scenario? So all the test case IDs you have to specify in this list. So these are the test cases which we have written for this scenario. This is the mapping. So for this requirement, for this scenarios, we have created these many test cases. And similarly, for this requirement, for this scenario, we have created these many test cases. So like this, you have to fill this particular sheet for all the requirements, scenarios, and test cases. This is called traceability matrix, requirement traceability matrix. It is basically says the mapping between the requirement scenarios and test cases. Okay. And this is one sheet you have to create. Okay. And we no need to create multiple sheets in this, just have only one sheet. Within the one sheet itself, you have to specify everything. So then 1.3 is a requirement ID. What is the test scenario? We have created test scenario ID, and then number of test cases you have written. Only IDs you have to specify within single sheet. You will not have multiple sheets. Within single sheet, you have to mention everything. Okay, so this is called requirement traceability matrix. While creating the test cases, parallelly, you can create requirement traceability matrix. It basically describes the mapping of requirements and corresponding test cases. So tomorrow, if anybody come and ask you, so how we will know whether you have covered this particular requirement or scenario or not in your test cases, then you can refer this document. So you can just look at this requirement scenario and what are the test cases you have written. Okay, so this is a kind of confirmation. So this is a requirement traceability matrix. So how to write the test cases we have seen, and reviews we have to conduct in multiple times, guys. So not only one review, peer review, walkthroughs, inspections. So we will do multiple reviews on test cases until unless it is completed and it is freezed and it is signed off from the management. And also requirement traceability matrix, we have to keep these documents with you, and you can share with the team also. And then once it is signed off, then we will move on to the environment setup. So we have to set up the test environment where we have to deploy the application which is given by the developers, and then we'll start test execution. Okay, so these are the different phases which we have to follow. All right, so as part of today, so what you guys should do is I'll share these documents, and how we have written the test cases for register functionality. Just go through this all the test cases whatever I have written for registration functionality. Similarly, take one or two scenarios, take login functionality or take logout functionality, and create two more sheets like this, and write all the test cases for login functionality. Similarly, write all the test cases for logout functionality. So if you have more time, you can try with the rest of the scenarios also. Okay, that is a assignment for you guys. And once you've done, so keep it with you. We will review later. Okay, this is a assignment for you guys. And while writing the test cases, refer FRS document, and also do some exploratory testing on the application. Then you will know the exact functionality. And after writing your test cases, then cross check with my document and how I have written my test cases. Okay, in that case, you will able to understand better. So that is all about today's session. And in the next session, I'll show you how we can set up environment, test environment, and then how we can deploy the build on your test environment. And then we will proceed with the execution part. Okay. Okay, that is the next stage. All right.